Did one or both of your parents go to university? What kind of work did they do? What kind of work were you aware of that people do when you were raised as a small child? The reason why I ask these questions is because it's relevant to the issue of class and what class you were brought up in and what class you are in now. And the theme of class ties in very strongly with the theme of classism, the discrimination against people who are not belonging to the middle class, not belonging to the academic class, rather people who are in the poverty class or in the working class or are considered to belong to these classes. Now, I find it really important to talk about class. There will be no building of any utopia unless we deal with the issue of classism and class. Now, the theme of classism is largely neglected. However, I see that more and more that this is a theme which is being talking about. This is very welcome. So we have in this video here like a little contribution for me, like a biographical thing that happened to me, which I'm then going to expand upon. So before I start talking about my experiences of classism and my negative, how I'm being discriminated against, I mean, look at me. I'm white, I'm male, I am, I'm using a wedding ring, and in the country I'm currently in at the moment, this means that I am heterosexual and cisgender. So I know I'm winning in all kinds of ways, yeah? In other ways, I am losing. So one can already begin to think, okay, but this is just anecdotal evidence that you're talking about now. And with the issue of discrimination, we need some like theory, we need some like academia with this. The trouble is with this is that this means that one can then give respect only to something if it's academic. And the thing is that it's academia which is discriminating against people who are not academic. So it can be a form of classism to demand from like this video here that I am having to bring some theory into this. Although I don't want to say that within classism one is not using theory. Theory is being used with this, but I just want to give some kind of credence to the story I'm going to be saying now and like its relevance. So I was leading a seminar in Hannover in 2000, I think it was 2018, 2019. Yeah, 2019. And we had a bit of free time. So me and some participants, so get the setting clear here. I am the trainer. I'm about 20 years, something like that, or maybe a bit less, older than these other participants. I speak fluent German. I can't remember exactly who I was with, but I don't think there were people who were fluent in German. And therefore, yeah, my role was a bit different. And me in this kind of trainer, they're participant kind of relationship kind of thing going on. So there's like one setting that's going on here. So we went to the Sprengel Museum, which is a museum of contemporary and modern art. And we went there that day because it was free entry that day. Like we sometimes have this in Germany. And so we went in, and straight away in front of you see the cloakroom to the right. And I'm trying to get this right from your perspective. You have the ticket dispenser area. And I'm looking there and thinking, we don't have to go there because we don't need tickets because it's free entry today. So we go into the cloakroom and thinking, all right, I'll leave my coat here, my jacket here, but I won't leave my bag here. Got my wallet in, but I can't be bothered looking for money to put it in the lockers. And maybe I don't even have a euro piece or something like this. So I'll take my bag with me. But can I take my bag with me? I've been to museums before. They'd want people to carry things around. So then I looked around all the time. I'm looking around. What should I be doing here? As I say, I've been in art museums before, so I know there are certain rules. And then I see there's a sign that says, if your bag can fit into this hole, and the hole is like about this kind of big, then you can bring it in. So I put my bag in. It fits easily. I've got this cotton bag that's been given for me from one of the organizations I work for. So we're all ready. Some people have put their stuff in lockers, some haven't. We go, and 3 meters away from where this sign is about where you can bring your bag in or not, having me already tested this, like in front of them, we then go to the entrance to the exhibition. And there's a man standing there, and he says, first thing, a little pause here. You may be thinking this is just my version of this, and maybe it's not the truth. Trust me on this. This is what happened. Sometimes people who are not middle class, their word will be less trusted. So really, believe me on this. So I go towards them, and he says to me, first thing, but you can't bring those bags inside. And then the woman says, can I see your tickets? And I say, oh, I didn't realize we had to have tickets because it's free entry today. And she says, well, you should have known this. You should have gone over there and got the tickets when you come in. I mean, she didn't have a Welsh accent. Anyway, I don't know why my Welsh accent came in there. And I was like, oh, right, okay, didn't know that. But she says, oh, you can come in, but you can't bring those bags. So one of the people I was with, and they were all women, the people I were with in their 20s, one of them then goes to put the bag away in the locker. But me being maybe a bit older, more male, more fluent in German, I kind of stand up to this. I say, well, look here. It says here, if my bag fits into this hole, it can go in. And you see it does. And then she says, but it's not just about the size, it's about how it looks, and it doesn't look good. And I'm like, oh yeah, welcome to this museum. But then she decides she can let me in and the others in. So we go in, and I have a look around. And I leave a bit early than the others because I wanted to go to the pub. Hey, that's the reason why I'd had an interview earlier in that day for an organization, and I work for them. And one of the reasons they took me on, in fact, the main reason is because of my work on classism. So, hey, maybe a bit of a not strange mixture of experiences on this day. So I leave, and I see this woman's there, and I'm thinking, no. And she, as I'm walking out, she walks straight towards me and says, don't be so unfriendly. Now, I'll say the German, what she said. Sei nicht so unfreundlich. No, sorry. Sei nicht so böse. That's what she said. And I thought I could go, okay, was I really? No, okay, sorry. This was kind of, I felt what she wanted me to say. But I said, but I wasn't being unfriendly. You were. And she said, no, you were. And I thought, well, this can go on all day. So I really didn't like the snotty way in which she was talking to me. Snotty, snobby, kind of hochnäsig, looking down her nose at me, the way she was speaking to me. So I said to her, I'm going to write to the administration and complain about you. And then she smiled a ghastly smile and said, okay, you do that. And then I said, all right, I'm going. I wish you a good day. She says, I wish well. And suddenly she was like, this really like strange pseudo friendliness was coming my way from her, which I took to be sarcastic. So then I went, and I was annoyed for a bit. I wasn't feeling welcome in this museum. But of all the classic experiences I was in life, this isn't even nowhere near the top. I just found it was an interesting one to talk about because sometimes the way that classism or other forms of discrimination take place is subtle. Sometimes it's like very obvious, like talking of racism, if a police stops someone who is black to look in their car, this is clear racism, yeah? Very clear. In terms of like the murders of black people by police, this is like really clear racism, ding, 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 big loud bells. But in this case, much milder form of the much milder event that was happening to me. And you're thinking maybe she was having a bad day. I mean, in fact, what I did was I then wrote on a Facebook page in which I complain about this. And I said, I can't believe that this woman really felt that she could talk to me in this way. And I'm wondering like why she was doing it. Maybe it was because I'm not German. Maybe it's because I'm younger than her, although I'm probably only about 10, 15 years younger than her. But the other people with were about 20 years younger than me. Or maybe it's because she can sense my class. Now, Sense my class. This sounds like a strange thing. The thing is, if I'm a person of color, if I'm a woman, if I'm black, then it's kind of clearer in nearly all cases. Well, not nearly. In most cases, it's clear. Of course, with gender, it's not always clear. But anyway, but with class, maybe you think, how would this person know to what class I belong to? The thing is with class is that class is really something that is you can be sensitive to. And I think one can see what class that the other person belongs to or was raised in an unconscious way. There's all kind of like mannerisms, the gesticulations we use, the melody, the kind of way one talks. And I'm not saying this because this was a conversation in German, my second language, but no, it's like going something like beyond that. I like the body posture. These are like subtle ways in which one can pick up on the other class of the other person. And consciously or unconsciously, one reacts to this, just like the way that like small boys and small girls are being treated differently in kindergarten, being picked up, the boys being expected to be like tougher on women, and the girls like not so. So the way in which we articulate ourselves influences how the other person then deals with it, because they are certain to us a class, even if they think there aren't any classes, and even if they think that they are not doing this. This is really something which is happening. And you're thinking, this is just me saying this. I've come up with like a massive theory. But no, there's all kinds of like writings which is kind of support this, what I'm saying here. There's a book which I'm reading at the moment. It's in German. Solidarisch gegen Klassismus. As is from Francis Seek, not sure how to pronounce that, in fact, Seeck, and also Brigitte Teisel. And this is like a book, with solidarity against classism, to translate that into English, in which many people are writing about their experiences of classism, but not just talking about like anecdotal stories like my story here, but also like applying some theory to it, like abstracting a situation in order to make it clearer, like what is actually happening. Now, one of the articles continued with this is a collection of articles, and one of them is by Lena Hennes, in which he speaks about the feeling of like not belonging somewhere, like you're going into a different group and this kind of feeling this place isn't for you, and this is someone being brought across to you. So this experience in the museum that I had being kind of communicated with me is that you don't belong here, and if you do belong here, then I can determine if your bag is nice enough or not. It was the issue with her talking about my bag that really made me think, okay, this is a classist kind of thing going on here. Now, interestingly, when I said to the museum that was I being treated like, were we being treated this because of our age, my class, or because we're not born in Germany, they said, we welcome people here from all different countries, which means they felt the need to respond to the charge that they're being xenophobic. They dealt with that issue. With age, not. With class, this was not, they didn't deal with this thing. So this kind of highlights what I'm saying is that the issue of class is neglected. Now, as I say, this was a very mild episode that I had. And I can give you stronger ones, but I'm not going to. But I'll just say like a few. I mean, this isn't just me saying this. I mean, my wife works in culture. They're saying they are trying to work out how people who have studied in university working there are trying to do events that will be for everybody, regardless of if they've studied in university or not. And there's all kinds of internet articles on the internet, like museums, which are pointing out that museums are classist organizations. Simply the whole question of how do they get their money? If they're getting like donations from like very rich people, this has an impact upon how the people are treated. I also want to make like a distinction is that you have like the hierarchy of like a museum, and I can imagine they're putting pressure onto the people who are doing the basic contact with people, taking the tickets, checking you, dealing in the cloakroom, who are more likely to not be academic class, although I do not believe that was the case in this case. So that was like a mild experience. I've had like a few other experiences. Now I'll save the stronger ones for another video. I'll just say I've had like within the last few years, you know, I applied to do workshops in one place, and they said, so if you work here, it will be 150 euros if you've got a magister, an MA, but if you've got a bachelor like me, it'll be 120 euros. And the reason they're doing this is not their choice, is because this is the conditions of the grant giver, namely the German state. Hey, hey. So, I mean, why would someone who's got a master's be better doing the job than me? Why should they get paid then more than me? They didn't take me in the end. Anyway, I did it in another place. I was wanting to earn a bit more money. I applied to work in one place, and I had a phone interview in which I mean, basically at this time, I have like 12 years of experience of being a trainer, and I'm a really good trainer. You should know this. I mean, you know this anyway. Maybe you've experienced me as a trainer. And they said, right, so I see you've studied business. So I'm not something like cultural studies or sociology or something like that, psychology, not humanities, in other words. So because of that, you would get paid about 200 euros a week less. And when it comes to the seminars, that the people who will first be looked at will be people who are either the people already working for us or people who are working with us who are students. Now, nothing against these students and their ability. It's just that, A, if you are middle class, you are more likely to be going to university. And if you're studying humanities, this is like moreover the case. And why is it in studied business? The reason I studied business is that I spent my childhood on an island in Comrie, you know, where the fathers of my friends were working either on the ships or on the railways. So me as a kid thinking what work to do, ooh, I don't think that's for me. Go in a bank because I got a bank account. I can imagine working in a bank and giving the money in, taking money out. That's how I got into business, you know. So it's because of the class area. I mean, because of the working class area of the place I was brought up in, which led to the decision about what I'm going to study. You know, so this is another way in which classism has affected me. That people who are middle class are standing in front of me in the queue for getting work. Thankfully, I didn't need this, and I'm not working there at all. Ah, nice. So, classism, I mean, these may sound like small things. If I'm still earning money, I got this other job I mentioned, I get annoyed in a museum one day. This isn't that bad, you may think. However, this is like just like the tip of the iceberg about what classism does. Classism has the effect on having welfare states which have sanctions. Sanctions which are then used to force people to either do like ein Euro jobs or to do workfare where they don't get paid any extra money for this, providing cheap labor for the private sector. Sanctions have been shown in Berlin in studies to lead to an increase in young persons' homelessness. And you know what homelessness does to people. Classism, therefore, it brings people into poverty, it keeps them in their poverty, and also leads to the murder of people who are homeless. In Germany alone, I'm just talking about Germany, this is where I work, about 190 people have been killed by 190 homeless people have been killed since 1990. Largely, the police will not always say this, but people who are, you know, pretty right wing. So classism is a deathly dangerous thing that also has the effect that people who are born into the poverty class, living there still, or in the working class, die younger than people who are middle class. This impacts upon a comrade of mine in the same political party as me pointed this out recently, that when you're looking at the statistics of what older people are voting for, one should then bear in mind that if working class, poverty class people are dying older, that it is the richer people, the middle class people who are living longer. So the whole question of older people more conservative, you should then bear this in mind, is ageist to assume that if you're older, you're going to be more right wing without considering the issue of class. Again, shows your class is a neglected issue. So there is going to be no utopia, whatever utopia you want to work for. We're not going to build it until we deal with the issue of class and classism. So coming towards the end now, if you are in the poverty or were in the poverty class or working class, then what can I say to you? I can say that the theme of classism is something which I recommend that you take and consider that some negative experiences you've had in life which are discriminatory were not your fault. For decades, I have had people talking down to me because of my class. And all this time, I was believing that there's something wrong with me. Turns out, no, it was them who was being classist. We can have a tendency to internalize the negative views that other people have about us. So know that you're a beautiful person and it's not your fault. So, I mean, we've come into a bit of summer breath. With summer breath, I'll put other videos up. I'll put one up with shaking you may have seen. We have the ability to redefine how we see ourselves, our concept of ourselves. I mean, I say with summer breath, this is one way which can be useful for doing this. So look out for videos on that. If you are belonging to the middle class, academic class, then I would like you to consider that in the area that you were working with, is it possible that people are being excluded because of their class? Is it possible that you are doing this? And if you're wanting to work towards diversity, then include the issue of class in this among the other forms of diversity, which are also needed. But what I don't want to do here is set off people against people, neglected group, disadvantaged group against disadvantaged group, or even the privileged and the underprivileged. No, the way I see it is this, is that while I invite you people, working class, poverty class people, to connect with me, to subscribe to this channel. Obviously, I would say that, but we can work together. Whether you're a trainer, whether you're doing wellness, whatever it is, we're in trade union, let's just work together and see how we can combat classism together. Of course, there will probably be some people closer to you doing this, but anyway, keep in touch. But I believe that it's possible for all of us to work together. And if you're watching this video already to the end, I'm guessing you're kind of going along with what I'm saying. So I see anyone who is prepared to be in solidarity with me and other people working against classism as, well, the word ally is used a lot. I can do a whole video about whether to be an ally or not is a necessary thing. But anyway, I see the possibility for solidarity with all kinds of people for working for utopia, because that is what it's about. That is what this channel is about. So, something for you to think about there. What do you think about it? What do you think about it? Have you experienced classism? Have you been discriminated against because of your class? Could you, if you feel free, how about you write in comments underneath so we can really make it concrete to ourselves as well as to others what classism is and how it impacts upon us. And how about you also consider that within your work, how do you involve the issue of classism in this and try to go against it? So remember, subscribe to the channel. I think I'm pointing in the right way now, and I'm going to wish you a good day. Bye.